Have you ever woken up in the dead of night, glanced at your clock, and seen those glowing numbers staring back at you? 4 a.m. For most of us, that sight would trigger a groan, a desperate reach for the snooze button, or maybe even a silent curse at the universe for interrupting our dreams. But what if instead you felt a quiet thrill? What if your eyes snapped open, your mind cleared like fog lifting off a lake, and you thought, "This is my time"? That's the world of the 4 a.m. riser, the folks who don't just tolerate the pre-dawn hours but seem to own them. They're the ones brewing coffee while the stars are still out, hitting the gym before the birds even stir, or diving into work that sets them miles ahead by breakfast. And you might wonder, what's going on in their heads? Are they superhuman, or is there something deeper in their psyche that makes the impossible feel effortless? Today, let's peel back the layers of the psyche of people who wake up at 4 a.m. We'll explore the psychology, the brain science, and the hidden motivations that turn the wee hours into a secret superpower. Stick with me, because by the end, you might just rethink your own alarm clock. And who knows, maybe even set it a little earlier. Picture this. It's pitch black outside. Your neighborhood is a ghost town, and the only sound is the faint hum of your fridge. Yet, there you are, slipping out of bed with a sense of purpose that borders on magical. These early risers aren't forcing it. For many, it's wired into their very being. Psychologists call this a chronotype, your body's natural preference for when to sleep and when to wake. Think of it like your internal orchestra conductor, waving a baton to the rhythm of your circadian clock. Morning people, or larks as they're sometimes nicknamed, have a chronotype that skews early. Their biological clock runs a tad shorter than the average 24-hour day, syncing them up with the sunrise like a flower turning toward the light. Research from places like the University of Colorado Boulder shows that folks with this early chronotype aren't just randomly perky at dawn. Their bodies are prepping for it. Around 3 or 4 a.m., their cortisol levels, that stress hormone that doubles as your natural wake-up call, start spiking, flooding their system with alertness. Meanwhile, melatonin, the sleepy time chemical, dips low, leaving them refreshed and ready. It's like their brain has an built-in espresso machine, brewing motivation while the rest of us are still hitting brew on our actual coffee makers. But here's where it gets really fascinating. Not everyone who wakes at 4 a.m. is born that way. Some are night owls who've hacked their psyche to flip the script. Take my friend Alex. He used to burn the midnight oil, scrolling through endless feeds until his eyes blurred. Then life threw him a curveball, a new job with early demands. At first he fought it, dragging himself out of bed like a zombie in a bad horror flick. But over time, something shifted. He started associating those quiet hours with freedom. No emails pinging, no kids demanding breakfast, just pure, uninterrupted me time. Psychologically, this is a classic case of reframing. Your brain loves patterns, and when you link early, rising to positive rewards, like that serene jog as the sky blushes pink or knocking out your to-do list before the world wakes, it rewires itself. Studies in chronobiology back this up. Even if genetics play a role, about 50% of your chronotype is inherited, you can nudge it with habits. Dim the lights earlier, expose yourself to morning sunlight, and suddenly your psyche starts craving that 4 a.m. hush. It's not magic. It's neuroplasticity, your brain's way of saying, hey, if this feels good, let's make it a habit. Now, let's talk about the personality under the hood. People who consistently rise at 4 a.m. often share a cluster of traits that make them tick like well-oiled clocks. First off, there's conscientiousness, that big five personality pillar where responsibility meets reliability. These folks aren't just early birds, they're planners. They map out their days like generals plotting a battle, knowing that those extra hours give them a head start on chaos. A study from the University of Toronto found that early risers report higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction, partly because their internal clocks align with society's 9-to-5 grind. No social jet lag for them, that exhausting mismatch where night owls feel perpetually out of sync, like showing up to a party after everyone's left. Instead, 4 a.m. risers ride the wave, using the quiet to fuel their optimism. Yeah, optimism. Another key trait. Research links morning chronotypes to a sunnier outlook, with lower rates of depression. Waking up an hour earlier can slash your depression risk by 23%, according to University of Colorado data. Why? More light exposure early on boosts serotonin, that feel-good neurotransmitter, turning your brain into a happiness factory. It's like giving your psyche a daily dose of sunshine, even if the actual sun is still snoozing. Of course, it's not all rainbows and cortisol spikes. Let's be real. Waking at 4 a.m. can feel like a psychological tightrope. For some, it's a badge of discipline, a quiet rebellion against laziness. Think about those historical figures who've championed it. Benjamin Franklin with his early to bed, early to rise mantra, or modern icons like Apple's Tim Cook, who's emailing at 4:30 a.m. Their psyche thrives on structure, turning potential drudgery into empowerment. But empathy check. If you're listening to this and thinking, that sounds like torture, I get it. Not everyone's wired for it, and forcing a 4 a.m. wake-up without enough sleep is a recipe for burnout. Your brain needs those 7 to 9 hours, cycling through deep REM stages where memories consolidate and emotions recharge. Skimp on that, and your psyche rebels, mood swings, foggy thinking, even heightened anxiety. The key is balance. True 4 a.m. risers aren't martyrs. They're the ones who've mastered self-awareness, tuning into their body's cues like a musician feeling the strings. They know when to adjust, maybe sleeping by 8 p.m. to keep the cycle humming. And here's a metaphor for you. Waking early is like planting seeds in fertile soil before the weeds take over. Your mind, uncluttered by the day's noise, sprouts ideas that might otherwise get trampled. Diving deeper, there's a philosophical undercurrent to this psyche. Waking at 4 a.m. isn't just about productivity. It's a dance with solitude. In those hours, the world feels intimate, like the universe is whispering secrets just for you. Psychologically, this taps into introversion for many, though extroverts can love it too, using the time to recharge before social whirlwinds. It's reflective space, where your thoughts wander without interruption. Ever notice how problems that loomed large at night shrink in the morning light? That's your brain's default mode network kicking in, the part that daydreams and solves puzzles when you're not forcing it. For 4 a.m. risers, this is prime time for creativity or mindfulness. Imagine journaling as the coffee drips, unpacking yesterday's worries like unpacking a suitcase. Studies show this kind of early reflection builds resilience, turning potential stressors into stepping stones. And humor me here, it's also when the absurd hits. Like, why do cats decide 4 a.m. is playtime? Or how does that one creaky floorboard sound like an intruder every time? These risers laugh it off, their psyche buoyed by endorphins from that early movement or meditation. But what about the neuroscience nuts and bolts? Let's geek out a bit without getting too textbooky. Your suprachiasmatic nucleus, fancy name for the brain's master clock, sits right behind your eyes, gobbling up light signals to keep everything in sync. For early risers, this clock is set forward, making dawn feel like midday. Hormonally, it's a symphony. Adrenaline trickles in, sharpening focus. Dopamine rewards the routine, making it addictive in the best way. A German study from the University of Lübeck found that anticipatory risers, those who wake before alarms, have heightened body awareness, sensing their internal rhythms like a sixth sense. It's empathy in action, your psyche in harmony with your physiology. And culturally, think about it. Many religions emphasize dawn prayers, from Islamic Fajr to Christian Matins. A recent +1 study even suggested religious folks score higher on morningness, linking conscientiousness to spirituality. It's as if the psyche craves that quiet communion, whether with a higher power or just your own thoughts. Now, if you're a night owl listening, don't despair. Your psyche has its own strengths. Creativity often peaks in the evening, when inhibitions loosen and ideas flow like wine at a party. But if you're curious about dipping into 4 a.m. life, start small. Shift bedtime gradually, maybe 15 minutes earlier each night. Create a wind-down ritual. Dim lights, ditch screens, let your brain signal show's over. And reward yourself. That first sip of coffee in silence? Pure gold. Over time, your psyche adapts, turning dread into delight. I've seen it in myself. Once a reluctant 6 a.m. guy. Now I cherish those early moments, feeling like I've stolen time from the day. As we wrap this up, remember, the psyche of 4 a.m. risers isn't about superiority, it's about alignment. Whether genetic gift or hard-won habit, it's a window into how our minds crave rhythm, purpose, and a touch of mystery in the mundane. If this resonates, maybe tomorrow you'll set that alarm a smidge earlier and see what unfolds. Or if not, honor your own beat. That's the real psychological win. What about you? Are you a 4 a.m. warrior, or do you thrive under the moon? Drop a comment below. Share your story. Let's keep the conversation going. If you enjoyed this dive into the human mind, hit that subscribe button for more psychology unpackings. Until next time, sweet dreams. Or should I say, sweet dawns. Take care.